quickly, please, very concise and brief, and we'll try and get Sayyid Ammar to answer all of your questions in the minutes remaining. So we go to our first caller. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Thank you very much. Your question, please.
Just a quick question. It's about the pen and paper incident, and I just want to know if Imam Ali was present then, and if he was, why do you not object to what the person said about the Quran only being enough for us?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for being brief. Thank you very much. And if we could ask the same from our next caller as well, please, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, I think the call should be coming through any second now. Is anybody there?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Welcome to Ahlulbayt TV. Your question, please.
Thank you very much. Alhamdulillah alladhi ja'ala kamal ad-din wa tamam an-ni'mata bi wilayati Amir al-Mu'minin Ali alayhi salatu wa salam. Brother Nakshawani, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My question is regarding the hadith that our brother Al-Sunnah wa Jama'ah brings about Shajaratul Mubarakah. I would like to know if you can tell me a little about that. What was the point of view of Amir al-Mu'minin Ali alayhi salam about this? Was he accepting it, or did he ignore it, or he wasn't accepting it at all?
Sorry, you just
elaborate further.
Yeah, could you just clarify and elaborate exactly what you mean?
The hadith about there's a hadith known as the Shajaratul Mubarakah that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that there were 10 people from my
10 people who would be who are guaranteed.
My Sahaba will go to Jannah.
Yes, okay, I can hear
guaranteed
now.
Yes,
okay, I heard.
Okay, yeah, okay, thank you very much. And just please hold tight. Sayyid Ammar will get to your question shortly. I'm just going to take maybe about 2 more questions. Again, apologies for the wait, and again, apologies to anybody who may not be able to get and have an opportunity to pose their question tonight. But we go to our next caller. Welcome to Ahlulbayt TV. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Thank you for calling in. Please, your question, please.
Okay, I'm going to keep it very brief.
Please do.
My name is Arif from Birmingham. Okay, my question, as it says in the Quran, in Surah Abasa, the first few verses, as your Sheikh probably knows the story anyway, where he says he found it turned away because the blind man came on to him. What could inform thee? What might he were growing to in grace? Anyway, the point is, that was to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was talking to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That shows, obviously, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam never made any mistakes according to sending the religion, passing the religion on. But in worldly acts, he did make a few mistakes. My question is, like you say, Imam Ali, he is, a lot of your sheikhs have said that he is infallible. And they put him on the same level as the Quran. I've got the recordings. Your sheikhs have said the Quran and Ali are infallible. Your sheikhs have said it on your TV. I've got the recordings.
You promised me you were going to be brief, brother. So
yes.
Please be brief. Yes.
My question is, can your sheikh also say that Ali radiallahu anhu was infallible when in your books, in the books of Al-Qumi, he mentions about the hadith of how he upset Fatima when he went to propose to the wife of the daughter of Abu Jahl.
Okay,
and he upset Fatima. So he made a few mistakes as well.
Okay, thank you, brother. I'm sorry to have cut you off. I mean, it's a very valid question, but you have to appreciate we have very little time remaining, and I think I'm going to have to apologize to anybody else who may be waiting because we've got about 5. Okay, apparently there's only one more call, so I'll take that last call and ask Sayyid Ammar to whiz through all of the questions that have been posed so far. Assalamu alaikum to our last caller of the evening.
Alaikum salam.
Thank you for calling in. Your question, please.
Salam to the Sayyid as well, please.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Can you recommend any books about the life of Imam Ali alayhi salam?
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for being very brief. Thank you. Okay, so first question, Mi'raj. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke to the Holy Prophet, and he apparently has come across a hadith that says it was in the voice of Imam Ali alayhi salam.
It's not unusual for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his forms of communication to use a voice. As we know, there are a number of forms of communications. One may be direct inspiration, another using an angel to communicate a message, and a third will be using of a voice, as Moses had heard when he communicated with his Lord. There is a book by the name of Kashf al-Ghumma which mentions a hadith narrated by Abdullah ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab, where he says that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, when he went above the seventh heaven, when he spoke to his Lord, he heard the voice of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. So he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, why is it that you communicate to me with that voice? He says, because that person is the closest person to you on the earth, and whenever you hear his voice, it brings ease to your heart.
Thank you. Next question was from our revert brother, and of course we welcome him to the Deen of Islam. What made Imam Ali alayhi salam the true successor of the Holy Prophet?
Well, first and foremost, according to the school of Ahlulbayt, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose him. Because it's not the Prophet who chooses his successor. The Prophet announces the successor. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspires the Prophet to announce that successor. In terms of the attributes, aside from designation, you have the attribute of knowledge, that he is the most knowledgeable of all those who surround him, and he's the one who's reached that level where he is at the level of being error-free, or what is known as ma'soom, in terms of his purity, as ascertained by Surah 33, verse 33 of the Holy Quran.
Okay. Pen and paper, was Imam Ali alayhi salam there, and if so, what did he do?
Well, with the incident of the pen and paper, also known as Raziyat al-Khamis, the Imam is present, and the hadith indicates that there was a war of words which took place, where the Prophet says, give me a pen and paper so that I may write for you that, to ensure that you will not go astray. That will be guidance for you until the Day of Judgment. One of the companions who's present says, the man is delirious, the Quran is enough for us. This causes a war of words between the companions who are present. The Prophet says, all of you leave and let Ali stay. So it seems that Amir al-Mu'mineen is there, and that there is a war of words that takes place, but he is the one who remains with the Prophet next to him.
10 people who have been guaranteed Jannah.
10 people who are guaranteed Jannah, well, the names normally given, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Talha, Zubair, Abd al-Rahman bin Auf, Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas, Ali ibn Abi Talib, and so on. The school of Ahlulbayt, we have a difference of opinion on the hadith. Why? Because we say that even if you look within those 10, there are personalities there who had major disputes with each other. Talha and Zubair, major disputes with Ali ibn Abi Talib, resulting in the Battle of Jamal. Abd al-Rahman bin Auf and Uthman bin Affan, at the end of their life, couldn't stand each other. I ask anyone to go and read history and see the relationship between Uthman and Abd al-Rahman bin Auf. So there's an indication there very clearly that if these are all going paradise, it's not going to be the easiest paradise to live in, because they've got already much trouble between them. So we don't necessarily agree with the narration.
Okay, I want to go to the question about recommended books, because then we can deal with this he frowned one in a little bit more detail.
In terms of recommended books about Imam Ali alayhi salam, the book The Brother of the Prophet by Sheikh Muhammad Jawad Shirri, may Allah bless his soul. It's a fantastic book, looking at the discussion of the life of the Imam. Also, Jordack's book, The Voice of Human Justice, gives many nice anecdotes about the life of the Imam, which we can learn from. There's a few others which I'm sure we can email. If they email in, we'll recommend them.
Inshallah. And now let's deal with the question about Abasa wa Tawalla. He was mentioned in the first few verses, and before actually posing his question, he'd come to the conclusion that the one who frowned was the Holy Prophet, and then he was drawing comparisons between him and Imam Ali alayhi salam.
Well, it is an opinion in some schools that when Abdullah bin Maktoum walks into the room and the Prophet is sitting with the renowned members of the Qurayshi hierarchy, and he's trying to bring them towards Islam, this Abdullah bin Maktoum is blind, and he wants to have the company of the Prophet. And so certain schools come forward and said that when the verse says Abasa wa tawalla an ja'ahu al-a'ma, it means that the Prophet frowned. The Prophet was the one who frowned at the blind man. Point number one is that it's contradictory to the akhlaq of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. When you look at other verses in the Quran, verse like وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ, you are of sublime morality, or you are a man of sublime morals. The verse وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ, if you were hard-hearted or severe, people would have gone away from you. وَلَا تَطْرُدُ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَدَاةِ وَالْعَشِيِّ, do not push away or reject those who call to their Lord in the day and the eve. So you find, number one, it's a contradiction to the others. Number two, why don't you continue reading the verses? If you stop Abasa wa Tawalla and Ja'al A'ma, if you stop there, then there's a possibility someone will say it's the Prophet. Keep reading the verses later. Just going through them in my head. As for the one who comes to you sincerely and he has fear of your Lord, you don't show any attention to him. But as for the one who comes to you, because of their wealth and their position, you are more concerned with them. Is this the akhlaq of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? That someone who comes earnestly and sincerely, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would be a man who would show no attention to him. But because people have pomp and power, he wants to show attention to them. Bilal didn't have much when he came to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Nor did Abu Dhar have much when he came to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Salman was a slave when he came to Rasulullah. Al-Miqdad had to leave as a slave of the hierarchy of Quraysh to come to Rasulullah. It's the rest of the verses, after the first two verses, indicates that it's speaking about somebody else. That this other person is more interested in those who are wealthy around him than he is interested in those who come sincerely. And it's interesting to note that we have a narration which says that the person who frowned at the blind man was a man from Bani Umayyah. We don't need to bring names. If now, for example, this caller who called in, if I say to him, this person frowned at the blind man, he'll say, how dare you say this person done this? This person had great akhlaq. So the man who came to bring akhlaq frowns at the blind man, but this other person wouldn't frown at the blind man? As in, you ask yourself, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would have that type of akhlaq? I know there are certain people in the school of Ahlulbayt who say, well, because he's blind, he's not going to really see the frowning. There are some who try and say that because he's blind, he's not going to see Rasulullah frowning, so Rasulullah hasn't sinned. On the contrary, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa says, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَانَمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ I have come to perfect the morals of mankind. So I've come to perfect the morals, but I'm going to do something which none of you will ever do in your lifetime, and that's frown at a blind man. As in, I ask you, Hajj Abdur Rauf, I ask you a question. If now you saw a blind man crossing the road, and he asked you for help, but you got to rush somewhere, do you have it in you to frown? Honestly. As in, there are normal human beings out there who, if they see the plight of a person who's challenged or disabled, it hurts them and they want to help straight away. And the man who came as a mercy to mankind is frowning at a blind man when he wants his attention? Unfortunately, we don't believe in that. So the person moved on. He said, so Rasulullah could make mistakes. Well, on the first level, we've just clearly revealed in the school of Ahlulbayt, in revelation and outside of revelation, Rasulullah does not make mistakes. The person seemed to have thought that we actually believe he makes mistakes outside of revelation. On the contrary, we believe Rasulullah in revelation, outside revelation, is the pure embodiment of what? Of servitude to Allah and protection of His message. We therefore, it goes from there to state that in the incident of the Kisa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهِ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ وَيُطَهِّرَكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to keep away from you, O family of the Prophet, all impurities. O people of the house, all impurities are going to be kept away from you. Who was in that cloak? Ali, Fatima, Hassan and Hussein. Just to move on about Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, you find a situation where when you look at the character of Imam Ali within his own life, you ask the question. When we say Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam is infallible, what we are trying to say is the four areas where you could commit sin: lust, envy, anger, and desire. Say these, and greed. Say these are the four areas: lust, envy, anger, greed. Why would Ali ibn Abi Talib lust for anything on this earth when Allah has gifted him the best woman on this earth? Why would Ali ibn Abi Talib be envious of anyone when he's the son-in-law of Rasulullah? Why would Ali ibn Abi Talib be angered by anything when constantly he has seen that whenever he was patient, Allah even increased him in his position? Why would he be greedy of any position on this earth when Allah gave him the position of being a martyr? As a human, if I commit a sin, it's either because of greed, anger, lust or envy. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, ask any Muslim. So he said that in your books it says that Imam Ali proposed to the daughter of Abu Jahl. Read the hadith properly, brother. You'll find that we reject the hadith which Imam al-Bukhari narrates that he proposed to the daughter of Abu Jahl. We reject that hadith completely, and I have a whole lecture on why it's rejected.
Thank you very, very much once again, Sayyid Ammar Nakshawani, who will be with us again tomorrow. And again, I just would like to put it out there that, whether you are a follower of the Ahlulbayt or you're a Muslim of another school, this is supposed to be a nice, healthy academic discussion. We're not here to annoy anybody. I'm hearing some tension in some of our callers' voices. So please, let's keep this on a nice, friendly level, inshallah. Join us again tomorrow.